It does need to be. Now, what do you think is causing autism? And in your personal estimation, do you think that there's a rise in the factors that are causing autism, or do you think that it's a rise in the understanding of these variables that contribute to it that you could diagnose people with, and that before they were previously undiagnosed?
So I think most of it is that we're just diagnosing it more, and we're including individuals in the autism category that we didn't before. And by the way, the numbers are about to go up even more because we're getting better at diagnosing girls and women with autism, which is also quite interesting. We used to say it was 10 to 1 boys to girls, and now we know there are a lot more girls and women on the autism spectrum. It's just that they're usually more verbal and they can camouflage it better. But they have very high rates of comorbidities like obsessive-compulsive disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. A lot of the teenage girls with eating disorders now they're finding could actually be on the autism spectrum. So the numbers are about to go up again. I mean, that's just an example. I mean, I guess what you're really trying to get at is it beyond that? Is there a bona fide increase beyond the number of diagnoses? And that one I'm still not sure about.
Yeah, I read an article about early onset gender dysphoria being connected to young girls with autism.
Right. Yeah.
There's a disproportionate number of girls with gender dysphoria who turned out to be also autistic.
Right, I've heard that as well. Yeah, that's actually so. It's really fascinating. To think about. Now,
unfortunate and fascinating at the same time, right?
There's a nice paper by a very good environmental scientist named Phil Landrigan, who used to be at Mount Sinai. Now I think he's at Boston College now, and he publishes about 5 or 6 chemicals in the environment, which if you're exposed to for long periods of time during early pregnancy, your child will be born with some features that resemble autism.
Do you know what those chemicals are?
So I have to remember, I talk about them in the book. One of them is Depakote, valproic acid, which is a psychiatric medicine used as a mood stabilizer or an antidepressant. So prolonged use of Depakote during pregnancy has been linked to something that resembles autism.
Is this a common medication?
It's a common medication, but now that we know this information, we don't use it anymore. And so one of the things that I've been saying to, people like Bobby Kennedy and everything else, if you really think there's some environmental link to autism, we've got a list of at least 6 chemicals during early exposure and pregnancy that are probably causing mutations and things like that are leading to autism. Why isn't anybody looking into that? It's just crazy. I mean, so all the focus goes into vaccines, and it kind of sucks all the oxygen out of the room, so that, really understanding the search for autism gets delayed, or in some cases doesn't get pursued at all. Or the other thing that happens in many state legislatures and things like that, the focus is so much about vaccines that we don't talk about what autism parents really need. I mean, what do I need for Rachel? We need, employment counseling and help. We need mental health counseling. What do we do after we're gone? Rachel right now is living with us. I turned 60. My wife is, 58. What happens to us 10, 15, 20 years from now? There's no roadmap.
Right.
So all of that gets shunted aside because of these phony baloney anti-vaccine arguments. And that's why I get angry. That's when I start to realize these guys, in addition to affecting public health, are actually hurting autism families as well.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, and I can completely understand why this would upset you, especially as a scientist. Now, when you're talking about these various chemicals that you think do contribute to or possibly cause autism, maybe we should really concentrate on that and publish something about this. Is there an article that people can go to that says something about this?
There is. I talk about it in the book.
In the book.
And I could, if I opened up the book, I could provide it for you.
Is there anything that people can read online about this without going to your book?
Probably. One of the problems that we face in this country is that we put a lot of scientific articles behind paywalls, which is a real source of frustration for me. And
why do they do that?
Well, one of the things that I've done now is I founded an open access journal called the Public Library of Science Neglected Tropical Diseases, so that anybody with a computer, an internet connection and a printer can download the articles free of charge. And we need more of that.
That's